Brewer Nation, thank you so much for watching, listening. This is a special one. We got Judy Galindo, my business partner on all kinds of stuff. She's a site owner, Sun Valley Research Center. And then we've got Rose from CTMD, which I'll never forget the name of her site anymore. Um, Thank you guys both for coming.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Rose, you've been a ACRP lifelong supporter, or how long you've been coming to these things with ACRP?
I started in 2004, and I felt ACRP was very helpful early in my career for educational and contacts.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, an ACRP is where site owners started getting together, and the famous Christine Pierre, who later started
SCRS.
SCRS,
Yeah.
brought site togethers together at ACRP meetings, and I met the original founders there.
Rest in peace, Christine. She started a real movement there, and it's really cool. We got site owners from both sides of the coast here. What's one of the challenges present day about being a site owner, specifically in Florida? It's got to be more challenging than most places.
It is. There are many sites in South Florida. Often we are fighting for good clinical trials. The competition is fierce. There are a lot of good sites in Florida, but once sponsors have their quota of South Florida sites, they won't take additional ones. So
Yeah, that must suck because
it's hard.
It's a lot.
Chris and I have been told that we do the DSE as we help sites get studies, and maybe 20% of the time they say, okay, we need help getting sites, but none in Florida and none in SoCal.
Yeah.
Those are
I've
like the
heard
two
that.
places. And now they're starting to say Houston also.
Really? Yeah.
Mhm.
I've seen the Florida, and like I'll get emails and say accept sites in Florida, and I'm like, oh, interesting.
I always, when I speak to sponsors, I always tell them we are in middle Florida, not exactly middle, but about an hour and a half north of South Florida than Miami. There's a glut of sites, of course, in Miami and Fort Lauderdale,
Yeah.
Right.
so we're a little bit north of that, but still we're
Right.
affected.
Yeah. Is there in your area though? Is there a lot of sites in the area, or more spread out? They're more spread out.
It's more spread out than further south, but
Okay.
there are ever more sites in our area than there used to be.
Yeah.
Getting coordinators to, like, do your coordinators come to this event? I know your business is a family business, which is really cool. By the way, these are
Yeah.
3 independent site owners, which is a rare thing these days. What? Just talk to us a little bit about this being a family affair for you.
Well, I fell into research like a lot of people 10, 20 years ago, accidentally. I finished an MBA program and was looking for a job. I have always been in the medical field, and there was a site looking for a site director. I didn't even know what research was, but they hired me because I was an MBA.
Wow.
Wow.
So it was a crash course,
Oh.
and but I fell in love with it, and I've been in research ever since then.
Well,
And
that's
so
cool.
then
You
since
guys know each other?
Yeah, we ran into each other. We met at a few conferences
Okay.
already. I
Sharing
think
study leads?
No,
Or not yet.
Not yet.
Not
We need to
yet.
all
Not
do
yet.
it.
Yeah.
You know who's coming next? Someone from Sanofi. They got studies.
Yes, we need their studies.
Yeah, I do. I actually talked to them off camera about a study we didn't get from them because they said, no, we don't want any more add-on sites, but they look like they had other therapeutic areas in there as well.
Okay.
So sharing study leads, celebrating our frontline workers. How do you guys go about training staff? How do you go about managing workflow of coordinators? You know, there's like this balance between there's too much work, people are overwhelmed, to there's not enough. It's constantly in flux.
Yeah.
How do you manage this at CTMD and then at Sun Valley?
Well, we try to keep our staffing even all the time, so it's very important that we set aside always from our revenue a safety bucket amount of money that we can maintain our staff in low times, because research is program based, project based, so there's always an up and down.
Right.
That's natural with that kind of industry. And during those low times, then we dip into our safety fund so that we can maintain our staffing until we have the next projects. It is challenging for a small site. I mean, we're not a huge network
Right.
and have unlimited funds, but our staff is very important to us. So that's how we maintain
and
them.
Yeah, actually, we're very similar to Rose. We do the same thing. We have to keep them engaged, and as those slower times, see if we can have them do other things. Like we do a lot of outreach in our community events, so we transition, be like, hey, you guys want to step in and do this while you're slow. you're not as busy. And so that's how we continue to keep our staff, so we don't have to cut hours too much or let people go, because it's really hard to rehire. We don't have people in our community that I can just bring on. They have a coordinator background, research assistant. So
Right.
it's an investment in the staff, and
Absolutely.
hopefully they stay with us long term. And so the training, we do it internally, sometimes use some external components, webinars and things like that. But we're starting to develop it internally, and just continue to have it for different roles that we have. And then the online content, in-person training, shadowing, I think is the most helpful.
Well, we in the past have, when we need new staffing, we usually tap from our community, entry level, very entry level. We do a sort of internship to see what the basic personality and characteristics are of a person, and if we feel like they're a good fit for us, and we invest in their training, and we usually purchase some programs and on the job training, and that's how most of us learned research, and that's what we're doing with our staffing as well.
Do you find that, because we do the same, do you find that hiring for potential versus, because in Yuma and just like Imperial, you don't have coordinators just falling out of the sky, like trained coordinators. So we have to find potential and then train them.
Right.
And the reality of the current job market is you train them and then they leave for double, triple the salary. And I'm not going to hold them from that. We had one recently do that now, like 6 months ago. They're doubling your salary. I told her, you go. Like, don't let me stop you. We'll get someone else. Do you guys have similar challenges at your sites?
We do, but I feel the way you would what you expressed. If you really care for the person, you want them to succeed in life, and that's what we want for all our staff. If they can increase their skills and open their horizons with other opportunities, well, God bless them. They should go. So, and we'll just look for someone else and give them the opportunity.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
it is hard.
Yeah, it is hard. And I feel the same way. Same thing like you. We look for people that have some kind of skills, some background, phlebotomy, medical assistant. And more recently, we have an internship program where we're bringing on interns of different backgrounds, IMGs, international medical graduates, and then other interns. And then it's kind of worked out the few that we've had. Something opened up and transitioned them to a paid job. So that's helped a little bit. But I agree. They're going to be with you as long as they need to be with you. They're going to invest that time. You're going to invest that time. And if it's their time to go, I don't want to hold anybody back. If they're gonna, and I hope they pursue research and continue going,
Totally agree.
and that's my goal. And if they decide they don't want to continue in the industry and just do, it is what it is. But I think I'm pretty lucky that most of our staff stays for several years before they transition, if they do transition.
I agree. Sometimes people stay because it's convenient for them to be local to their houses while they pursue their studies, and we do give flexible schedules so that they can do all that, be with their family, get their studies done. Whereas big corporations sometimes are not that flexible, so it works out.
Right.
What kind of tech do you guys use, or if any, to help manage your site or keep your workflow organized?
To be honest, I feel like a hummingbird. I've tried very many sites, and I'm not afraid to leave one to try another, even though
Good.
implementation is very difficult. We tried a lot of the systems out there. Right now, we are using eClin Pro, which we're very happy with.
I heard a lot
Yes,
about
I've heard a
it.
lot.
Yes,
Yes,
I
yeah.
am.
I've
I'm
seen
going
their
to say the directors of eClin Pro are very willing to work with sites. They're very responsive.
That's cool.
They're still a little on the small side, but I know they're growing. And support is everything, really, in that type of vendor. And I'm very happy with them and what we're doing with them. So
Right.
they have everything that we use: eSource, eReg, eConsent. And they have a robust recruitment module and also billing, which is so important.
CTMS, yeah.
Yeah,
Right, right.
CTMS.
Yeah, the system we use, very similar to the components that eClin Pro has, is real-time CTMS. And so I actually got into real-time. I was talking to someone earlier about it, probably 2016, so way before COVID. At that time, there was maybe 5 systems that were pretty well known, and we're still growing. Now there's a bunch more.
I have to say great things about real time. They're great too.
Yeah, and so I'm afraid to switch because there's so much you've invested to get the system the way you want, the eSource, the eReg, the financial component. And now I see all these other systems that I'm like, oh, those look like eClin Pro was one
Yes.
that I was like, if I had to switch maybe, but just the investment to get these
Yes.
systems set up and then to retrain staff
Right.
and manage it.
The
that's
implementation is very
Exactly.
overwhelming sometimes,
Exactly.
especially if you have a lot of ongoing studies studies, and switching is just whenever we switch, it's really been costly because we have finished out the study with the old system and then started the new system at the beginning of a study, because doing it in the middle is just too traumatic for everybody.
Yeah, I thought about that maybe in the future, but like they say, not all tech is good tech. You got to find what works for your site, your community, your patient population, your staff. But I think that's the harder part as you bring on this tech, whether it's the systems, finding ways to reach patients through text or whatever it is that you use. Is that what works best for your community? Is it easy to implement? And how much staff do you need? Because I think that's the challenge I ran into. I don't know if you guys have, is I feel you need more staff, more expertise on these systems to manage it and keep up with it.
I agree with you. It's you have to train your staff. I mean, whether you have a few members or a large amount to the new tech. So that's always a challenge.
Right.
Last thing as we wrap up. So ACRP, this might be one of my first events, I think, versus SOS. Like, you guys are fans of, obviously you're a fan of SOS too. You're one of the founders, and then you're one of the sites. Thank you so much for
a new member. Let's say
a new member, our inaugural member. Do you see similarities, differences? Can we just get some of your thoughts on that?
Well, of course, SOS is a much smaller group and organization, but also it makes it friendly in the fact that you can make connections easier within a smaller group, and sharing with colleagues is so important. It really is key in our industry. So I find that belonging to the SOS is very helpful for our group.
Yeah, I think I agree with Rose. I think I've been attending ACRP a few years on and off. I've done other conferences. They're all so different, and you learn at each of these conferences different things. You get to connect with people. But I do like the smaller setting, the smaller connecting, because in the end, we are talking to each other. We're reaching out to each other. We're checking. We're getting advice from other site owners, other staff on how they're doing things, because that's the best way we found to really get the answers to our questions. So I like the whole networking thing that we did at SOS, where you could just go up to people. It's a little bit more easier to connect with each other.
I'm just realizing now that we're camped out in front of the bathroom, women gotta to struggle a lot. Look at
look at them. There's no line, and then I know.
You don't know the half of it.
I mean, I got more empathy now. I'm just sitting here watching this. In all seriousness, Rose, thank you very much.
Thank you
for all your support.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
It was unexpected.
Unexpected, but that's the best kind of things. That's what makes these conferences good. And I would love to share study leads with you, just like I'm doing with Judy, and happy to do that. I don't know if we need to scan badges or what we got to do.
We'll do it after
Honestly,
we're
I
off
don't
camera.
know how that works, but yeah. Thank you, Rose.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Judy.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, if you guys like that kind of content, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share. Stay tuned for more videos.